Delegate Tom Cooper.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, members of Board of Health. I'm Tom Cooper, Director of the Hamilton Roundtable for Poverty Reduction, and at risk of being redundant, I'm going to be redundant because this issue is just that important. Our community is at risk of a rapidly heating planet. Heat waves are becoming far too common in areas where they haven't been experienced before. Just last summer, places in Northern Europe at higher latitudes than Hamilton experienced temperatures in excess of 42 degrees Celsius. And you've already heard numerous delegates talk about the tragedy that befell BC during the recent heat dome incident. In a typical year, heat waves kill more people than all other natural disasters combined. And those outcomes will only intensify as the effects of global warming accelerate. Carbon dioxide levels, as you know, are at their highest level in 650,000 years. And these are results of human industrial processes. But even if governments did everything in their power today to cap that, we know the temperatures are still going to rise because there will be a lagging indicator. And that means prolonged heat waves will be part of our future no matter what we do, even if we take all the right steps to cap carbon emissions today. And certain regions will be hit harder than others, but it's reckless to believe that Southern Ontario will be immune. You've already heard some of the scientific reports, NASA reports, that by the end of the century, what had been a 1 in every 20-year extreme heat event will be faced by Hamilton every 2 or 3 years. And we know global warming and inequality are linked. People living in poverty or experiencing social exclusion are hit hardest and suffer most from extreme temperatures. Seniors, persons with disabilities, and particularly those in inadequate housing or even living rough on the streets will be most at risk. And it's important to mention, I think, that with more than 1,600 of our neighbors currently living unhoused and often in tent encampments, that population will need very specific and targeted interventions during these type of extreme heat events. Councillor Clark mentioned Chicago earlier, and perhaps the preeminent analysis of the Chicago heat wave was done in a book called Heat Wave, A Social Autopsy by Eric Kleinenberg. And it demonstrated absolutely that urban areas with high concentrations of poverty are particularly susceptible. And many of us are familiar with the heat island effect. I would argue that concrete apartment buildings are almost like a heat island within a heat island. Concrete multi-story complexes heat up like toasters during the day and often take hours upon hours to cool down. And that lack of nighttime heating can cause the greatest health risks because of age and disrepair. Rooming houses and, as James mentioned earlier, residential care homes are often considered the most vulnerable because of their modest form of rental accommodation. It's rare to find landlords or property management companies that invest in heat mitigation strategies such as green roofs that provide shade, remove heat from buildings, and reduce the temperatures on roof surfaces. That's why it's critical that we bring community voices together, not just to plan, but also to map out places and people who are vulnerable. And last summer, working with the city's Climate Change Office, ACORN, the Social Planning Council, Environment Hamilton, and the Roundtable collaborated to engage and survey residents of 4 high-rise buildings about the dangers of extreme heat. As part of that low-cost but highly effective pilot, 50 air conditioning units were provided to low-income tenants to ensure that their space provided some cooling during extreme heat days. And that's the sort of program that can be enhanced in the short term to protect vulnerable groups. But it's not about comfort, it's about well-being, and that's why we are absolutely behind ACORN and CELA and Hamilton Community Legal Clinic's advocacy around a maximum temperature bylaw. And it's also important to note that there are currently between 40 and 45,000 individuals in Hamilton who are currently subsisting on social assistance, either on Ontario Works or the Ontario Disability Support Program. Those individuals have the least resources available to be able to protect themselves during these extreme heat events and will be at the most risk. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Cooper. Any questions of the delegate? Seeing none, thank you.